All right, today we're jumping right in for an inside look at Duke University. Now, if you're a student or a parent trying to see past the glossy brochures and the big rankings, this is for you. We're going to get into what it's really like at one of the most selective universities in the world. So, let's do this. Let's just start with the number that stops everyone in their tracks. For its latest class, Duke's acceptance rate was a jaw-dropping 4.8%. Wow. I mean, that one number tells you everything we need to know about where Duke sits in the world of elite colleges. Getting in is, to put it mildly, a huge challenge. But look, an acceptance rate doesn't tell you about the campus vibe, or what you'll actually pay, or what life is really like day to day. So the real question is, what's the full story here? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and give you the complete picture of Duke, from getting in, to paying for it, to what happens after you graduate. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with a quick overview of what makes Duke, well, Duke. Then we'll tackle the big ones. How tough is it to get in, and what's the real cost? After that, we'll get into the academics and what a Duke degree can do for your career before we look at what student life is actually like. And at the end, we'll wrap it all up to help you decide if Duke is your perfect fit. Okay, so first things first, what is Duke? Well, it's a private university located in Durham, North Carolina. And it's not just any university, it's an R1 institution, which is basically code for the highest possible level of research activity. With about 6,500 undergrads, it's this really cool blend. It's got the firepower of a huge research university, but it's small enough to feel like a community. It's no wonder people call it a Southern Ivy. You know, Duke wasn't always this powerhouse. It started as a tiny school way back in 1838, moved to Durham, and then, boom, 1924 happens. A massive endowment from James B. Duke completely transformed it into the university we recognize today. And of course, a huge milestone came in 1963, when Duke admitted its first Black undergrads, a critical step on its path to becoming a more inclusive place. And now for the topic on everyone's mind, admissions. We saw that wild 4.8% acceptance rate, right? That makes getting an offer from Duke a massive accomplishment. So, what on earth does it actually take to get one of those coveted spots? Just look at these numbers. The academic bar is incredibly high. Half of the students who get in have an SAT score between 1510 and 1560. A 1560! Or they've got a 34 or 35 on the ACT. And their unweighted GPAs, almost all are between a 3.9 and a perfect 4.0. So the takeaway here is pretty simple. You need near-perfect grades and test scores just to be in the running. That's the entry ticket. But, and this is so important, the numbers are not the whole game. Duke uses what's called a holistic review, and they mean it. They're looking at so much more than your scores. Things like how tough your classes were, your essays, what your teachers say about you, and what you do outside of class. Those are all listed as very important. They carry the same weight as your GPA. They don't just want smart students, they want interesting, passionate people. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about money. An elite school like Duke comes with a pretty elite price tag, right? But the story of what families actually end up paying is, well, it's a lot more nuanced than you might think. Let's break it down. The full, all-in sticker price for a year at Duke is over $92,000. And yeah, that number can literally take your breath away. But here is the most crucial part. Almost nobody pays that. Thanks to Duke's massive financial aid resources, the average net price, what a student actually pays after all the grants and scholarships, plummets to around $34,000. That is a world of difference. And if we dig in a little deeper, you can see how this plays out for different families. For families making less than $75,000 a year, the average price is under $11,000. Think about that. Even for families in that $75,000 to $110,000 range, the cost is under $20,000. This shows that for a lot of families, Duke can actually be more affordable than their own state school. If you want personalized help saving $40,000 or more on college costs, check the link in the description to learn about our College Savings Mentor program. So how in the world do they pull this off? Well, Duke's financial aid program is just incredibly generous. First off, they promise to meet 100% of a family's demonstrated need for every single admitted U.S. student. No gaps. About 2/3 of all undergrads get some kind of aid. And maybe most importantly, this all leads to manageable debt. The average federal loan debt at graduation is less than $28,000, which is pretty low when you consider the value of the degree you're getting. So let's talk about the heart of the experience, the academics. What are you going to study? Who are you learning from? And, what's the payoff? What does a Duke degree actually get you once you have that diploma in hand?
So, what are students actually studying? Well, you can see a really strong pre-professional vibe here. Computer science is the most popular, followed right behind by social sciences, which at Duke includes a massive economics major, and then engineering. These programs are basically magnets for ambitious students aiming for careers in fields like tech, finance, and consulting.
Now check out these two numbers because they say so much about the quality of education here. First, a 5-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio. That is just incredible. It means you get amazing access to your professors for research and mentorship, and that support clearly pays off because Duke has a phenomenal 96% six-year graduation rate. Basically, the students who get in succeed and graduate.
All right, the big question, does this all pay off? Well, the numbers pretty much scream yes. Within just 6 months of graduating, 95% of students are working or in grad school. The median starting salary is a hefty $85,000. And just look at that list of top employers: McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, Google. A Duke degree doesn't just open doors, it opens doors to the most prestigious companies in the world.
Of course, college is so much more than just classes and career prep. So what's it actually like to be a student at Duke? What's the social scene? Let's take a look at life as a Blue Devil.
You know, every college brochure looks perfect. It's all smiling students on a sunny lawn, but we want to know what it's really like. What's the actual social culture when you're living it every day? What are the unwritten rules and the real dynamics? So here you can see the two sides of Duke's social coin. On one hand, the official view is totally true. There are over 400 clubs, and you have these amazing, vibrant traditions like camping out for basketball tickets in Krasiewiskoville. But on the other hand, what you hear from students is that the social scene can be complex. They talk about a bit of a social hierarchy, that Greek life can feel like it dominates everything, and that a hookup culture is pretty standard. Both of these realities exist at the same time, and it's something to be aware of.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground: admissions, cost, academics, campus life. So let's put all the pieces together. How do you take all this information and figure out at the end of the day if Duke is the right university for you?
Let's just lay it all out, the pros and the cons. The pros are huge. You've got world-class academics, an incredibly powerful alumni network that leads to a fantastic return on your investment, and of course, that legendary school spirit. The cons are really just the other side of that same coin. A high sticker price if you don't qualify for much owed, a really intense and competitive culture, and that complex social scene we talked about.
So when you put it all together, who is the perfect Duke student? Well, it's someone who is incredibly ambitious, someone who truly thrives on academic rigor. They're probably focused on a future career, but they're also excited to work with others on cool research projects. They want a high-energy campus with big-time sports and traditions, but they also appreciate being in a cool, up-and-coming city like Durham.
Before you go, check the description for a link to our College Savings Mentor program, where we help families save $40,000 or more on college costs. That does it for this segment. Thanks for listening to our brief podcast. If you want to learn how to avoid student loan debt, we have a roadmap in our College Savings Mentor Guide that can show you step-by-step how to save $40,000 or more on tuition. Check the link in the description and be sure to listen to more of our college deep dives.